You were never supposed to feel weak or lost. But over time, people and systems made you forget your true power. From the very beginning, the world trained you to believe that strength, guidance, and truth came from outside of you. You were taught to look to gods, governments, systems, and even technology for answers. They taught you to follow the light, but they never told you that the light was already inside you. The truth is, your inner power was always there. It just got buried under noise, distractions, and false beliefs. Even though much ancient knowledge was forgotten or hidden, not all of it disappeared. Some of it survived, passed down through secret symbols, hidden languages, and old texts. One of the most powerful sources of this knowledge is the Corpus Hermeticum, a collection of 35 teachings that hold deep spiritual truths. These aren't religious rules. They're not about worship or rituals. They're about waking up. They are tools, like keys, meant to help you remember who you really are and the powerful role you play in the universe. These teachings were not made for everyone. They were preserved for those who could sense that something wasn't right, for those who always felt like there was something more to life, even if they couldn't explain it, for the ones who felt the weight of confusion, emptiness, or longing, even when they had everything they were told should make them happy. These teachings are for the ones who are ready to wake up. From your earliest days, the system began shaping you. It started with school, where you were told to sit still, raise your hand, follow rules, and memorize facts. You weren't encouraged to question deeply or to trust your own thoughts. The goal wasn't to help you awaken, it was to make you behave, fit in, and become part of the system. Over time, this training made you doubt your own inner guidance. By the time you became an adult, you had already absorbed a script about who you are and what life is. You accepted the world as it was, not realizing you had the power to shape it. But if you look back, you might remember that as a child, you felt something deeper, a quiet knowing, a pull towards something bigger, a spark inside you that didn't have a name. Maybe it came to you while staring at the stars, or feeling awe in nature, or during moments of silence when everything else fell away. You felt that life had meaning, that there was more to this world than chores, grades, jobs, and expectations. But the noise of the world drowned out that quiet truth. Over time, the system taught you to be practical, to stop dreaming, and to believe only what could be measured or proven. That's when the inner light started to fade. But the universe is not random or meaningless. It is alive. It has order, intelligence, and purpose. And you are not separate from it. You are part of it. The same creative force that moves galaxies also moves through you. You are not just a small person living in a big universe. You are a reflection of it. You are one expression of the great cosmic mind. This is the heart of Hermetic wisdom. One of its core ideas is this: as above, so below. As within, so without. This means that everything is connected. Your inner world and the outer world reflect each other. What happens inside you affects what happens around you. This isn't just a pretty idea, it's a deep truth. When you change your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, your outer world starts to shift. This is not magic. It's the way the universe works. It's a law like gravity. The teachings in the Corpus Hermeticum are not meant to be memorized like school lessons. They are meant to wake you up. They are like mirrors that show you parts of yourself you forgot. They don't offer comfort, they offer clarity. They won't make life easier overnight, but they will help you see clearly. And once you truly see, you can begin to change things, inside and out. That's why we created Insights Academy, a free newsletter where we explore these teachings in more depth. Some truths are too deep, too sacred, or too misunderstood to share on social media. In the newsletter, we go beyond what can be said in public. And when you sign up, you'll receive a free copy of the Siblian, a special text that helps you begin this journey. The first illusion you must break is the idea that you are powerless and separate from the universe. You are not. Your body, your emotions, your mind, they are all part of the same cosmic system. When you feel angry, joyful, afraid, or inspired, you are sending out vibrations. Those vibrations interact with the field of reality around you. The more aware you become of this, the more influence you gain. You stop reacting to life and start participating in it. Most people live in reaction. Life happens, and they respond without thinking. They blame others, circumstances, or fate. But the Hermetic path teaches something else. It invites you to pause and ask a different question. What is this situation reflecting inside me? That's where true power begins, not in control, but in awareness. It's not always easy. This path asks you to look honestly at yourself, to face the beliefs, patterns, and fears you've inherited. But in that honesty, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel free. Not because the world changed, but because your perception of it did. This is why the idea, as within, so without, is so powerful. It changes your role in the story of your life. You are no longer just a character. You become the co-author. Your thoughts and emotions don't just stay inside you, they ripple outward, shaping your relationships, your choices, your future. Even the structure of your body reflects the structure of the universe. The spiral of a galaxy is the same shape found in your DNA. The cycles of the moon are reflected in the rhythms of your body and emotions. The same patterns that shape stars shape you. When you understand this, you realize that changing your inner world is not selfish or imaginary. It's an act of creation. You are tuning yourself to the universe. Hermetic wisdom isn't about escaping reality. It's about understanding how it works, so you can live in it with clarity, purpose, and peace. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the natural order of the universe, life begins to flow differently. You stop chasing things and start attracting them. You stop fighting the world and start moving with it. That's what real power looks like. It's not control. It's alignment. It's resonance. When you are in harmony with the universe, you don't need to force things. You become like a tuning fork that calls things towards you. Peace, clarity, purpose, they become your natural state, not something you have to earn. The system you grew up in didn't teach this. It taught survival, not awareness. It taught obedience, not sovereignty. But when you start to remember who you are, the system loses its grip. You stop looking for validation from titles, followers, or approval. You start trusting your own inner authority. The teachings of Hermes are dangerous to systems built on control, not because they hurt, but because they free. When a person wakes up, they can no longer be controlled in the same way. They ask questions. They follow their inner compass. They live with purpose. But to step into that kind of freedom, you must understand how your power was taken. Not through violence, but through noise, constant busyness, endless distraction, artificial urgency. You were never taught to be still, to listen within, to connect to your true self. But now, you can begin. The divine is not far away. It is not trapped in temples or hidden in books. It lives in you, in your breath, your heartbeat, your awareness. You don't need to chase it. You need only to remember. When you understand the Hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without, not just with your mind, but with your heart and your body, everything changes. You begin to live in a different way. You stop feeling like a victim of life and start feeling like a participant in it. This journey is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you've always been. The universe isn't working against you. It's always been trying to communicate with you in signs, feelings, and experiences. You may have stopped noticing its messages not because they disappeared, but because you stopped listening. You got busy, distracted, or discouraged, and you forgot how to hear the quiet voice of life speaking to you. But the good news is this: it never stopped. These teachings you're reading now are not just spiritual ideas. They are tools that help you tune back in. They help you recognize the signs again and remember how to connect with a deeper part of yourself and with the universe around you. When you begin to understand this, something changes. You stop asking if the universe is supporting you, and you start asking if you're living in a way that reflects the truth of who you really are. You stop seeking approval or signs from the outside world, and you begin to feel connected to something much greater. Real transformation doesn't happen on the surface of your life. It's not about changing your schedule, developing new habits, or reading more books. Those things might help, but they don't get to the root. Deep, lasting change happens when you touch the core of who you are, your essence. And that is where true spiritual work begins. This is what Hermetic alchemy is really about. Not chemistry, not old scrolls or turning physical lead into gold. Those are just symbols. The real transformation is inner. The lead is your fear, your doubts, your limiting beliefs, and your emotional pain. The gold is your highest self, strong, aware, clear, and free. Alchemy is a process of turning your pain and confusion into wisdom and strength. It's not magic in the way Hollywood shows it. It's more powerful than that. It's the quiet, inner work of becoming whole. You are not broken, but you may be covered in layers of pain, old stories, and emotional baggage, some of which isn't even yours. We all carry things we inherited from our families, society, and the past. These things shape how we see ourselves and the world, often in ways we don't realize. Most of the world teaches you to ignore or hide these things. You're told to be strong, get over it, or stay positive. But Hermetic alchemy teaches something different. It asks you to face your pain, not run from it. It asks you to look into the messiness of your life and find meaning in it. This isn't about escaping or pretending everything is okay. It's about turning toward the discomfort and seeing it for what it really is, an opportunity for growth. True transformation comes from facing the hard stuff. It's like a controlled fire that clears out what's dead and makes room for new life. Every painful experience you've had holds a lesson. Every time you choose to ignore it or cover it up, you delay your growth. But when you sit with it, when you really face it, it begins to change. And so do you. The ancient term for this kind of inner knowing is gnosis. Gnosis is not belief. It's not something someone tells you. It's a truth that you feel in your bones, something that comes from direct experience. When you feel it, you don't need convincing. You just know. It's that moment when everything clicks, when something inside you shifts and you see things differently. Once you've experienced that, you can't go back to the way things were. You've seen too much. You've remembered too much. The Hermetic teachings are not meant to sit quietly in a book or on a shelf. They are meant to be lived. They are tools that help strip away illusions and guide you through the process of inner change. But they're not easy. This path asks a lot of you. It asks you to let go of comfort and face truths you might rather avoid. Not everyone is ready for that. Many people want life to be easy. But the alchemist, the true seeker, wants truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And the truth, while it may hurt at first, will set you free. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's a cycle, like the seasons. You may revisit the same emotional wound or challenge again and again, but each time you do, you understand it a little more. You grow a little stronger. What used to break you now becomes a teacher. What used to feel impossible now becomes a doorway. Every time you go inward and face your shadow, you come out with more light. This is the spiral path of healing. It's not a straight line, but each twist of the spiral takes you higher. The deeper you go into yourself, the closer you get to the divine. This is one of the biggest paradoxes of life. You rise by going down. You find the light by entering the darkness, not to stay there, but to retrieve the pieces of yourself you left behind. You begin to see that discomfort isn't something to be feared. It's a sign that something important is happening. Discomfort is the stretching of your old self, making space for something new. When you understand this, you start to see challenges differently. Every problem becomes an invitation. Every emotional trigger becomes a map. Every breakdown becomes a chance to rebuild on a more truthful foundation. And here's something powerful. Once you've turned your pain into wisdom, no one can use that pain against you anymore. You become grounded, not because life gets easier, but because you become deeper, more whole, more real. These teachings don't ask you to fix yourself. They ask you to face yourself, to step into the fire willingly and trust that what you find on the other side is worth every tear, every surrender, every moment of courage. This is what it means to walk the path of the alchemist. It's not an idea. It's a way of living. It's something you earn through experience. Ask yourself this: what are you still holding on to that keeps you from becoming who you're meant to be? That is the lead in your life. And if you're willing to face it, if you're willing to burn, you'll find the gold hidden inside it. One of the biggest lies we've been taught is that we're alone, that we're isolated, cut off, and drifting in a world that doesn't care. That belief isn't just painful, it's dangerous. Because when you believe you're separate, you forget how powerful you truly are. You forget your connection to the universe, to others, to your own deeper self. And when you forget, you become easy to control. You accept limits that aren't real. The Hermetic teachings completely reject the idea of separation. They don't just suggest that everything is connected, they declare it. Everything in existence, from your heartbeat to the stars in the sky, is made from the same source. Your body, your thoughts, the rivers, the trees, they're all different forms of the same energy. On the surface, things look separate, but at the core, everything is one. This isn't just a nice idea to talk about. It's something you can feel. You've felt it before, in a moment of stillness, in nature, in love, or during a powerful experience when everything suddenly made sense. That feeling of connection is real. The teachings don't create it, they help you remember it. When you believe you're separate, fear runs your life. The world feels unsafe. People seem like threats. You spend your life trying to prove yourself, protect yourself, and find your place. But when you see through the illusion of separation, your whole experience of life changes. You stop running. You stop blaming. You start recognizing the patterns in your life and how they reflect your inner state. You begin to feel compassion, not because you're trying to be a good person, but because you feel the connection. You see yourself in others. You treat your body with care, not because someone told you to, but because you recognize it as sacred. Life stops being a race and becomes a dance, a collaboration, a way for consciousness to express itself through you in a unique and meaningful way. Understanding this doesn't take away your individuality. It honors it. When you know you're connected to everything, your personal expression becomes more valuable, not less. Your creativity, your voice, your presence, these are not random. They're essential parts of the whole. This illusion of separation also keeps you from receiving. It convinces you that you're disconnected from the source, that you have to earn love, prove your worth, or wait for permission. But connection isn't something you create. It's something you remember. And when you do, everything starts to flow again. Your intuition becomes stronger. Synchronicities show up. Peace takes root, not as a passing feeling, but as a steady state of being. You move through the world differently, not to appear spiritual, but because you remember you always were. You realize you've never been alone. Every thought, every longing, every struggle was heard. You were seen. You were held, even in silence. The universe hasn't been ignoring you. It's been listening. And now, finally, you're quiet enough to hear it speak back. The Hermetic teachings, like the ancient Corpus Hermeticum, don't ask for blind belief. They invite you to experience truth for yourself, to feel oneness not as a theory, but as something alive in your body. When you see through the illusion of separation, there is no going back. You stop waiting for permission to be whole. You realize you always were. There is a kind of knowing that doesn't come from facts or logic, a deeper wisdom, something older than words. The Hermetic texts call it Nos, the mind of the heart. And if you've ever felt a deep truth in your body before your mind could explain it, you've already touched it. That's where this journey leads, not to more thinking, but to deeper knowing. And that, in the end, is where transformation truly begins. Nous is not the same as thinking or using logic. It's not your brain trying to figure things out. Nous is a deeper kind of awareness. It just knows things without needing proof or explanations. In today's world, where people rely heavily on data, measurements, and facts, this kind of knowing feels strange or even unbelievable. But nous doesn't work like science or reasoning. It's beyond that. It doesn't guess. It doesn't assume. It just sees things clearly and instantly. From the time we were young, we were taught to only believe in what we can see, touch, or measure. We were taught that thinking and reasoning are the highest forms of intelligence, while things like intuition or inner knowing were dismissed as silly or unreliable. We learned to trust only our thoughts, not our inner silence. Over time, this led many of us to lose touch with a deeper part of ourselves. We became stuck in our heads, constantly thinking, worrying, and analyzing. But nous lives in a quiet place inside us, beneath all that noise. The Hermetic path, which is an ancient spiritual tradition, doesn't ask us to get rid of our minds. It simply reminds us that our thinking mind is not in charge. Our intellect is useful, but it's not the boss. It should serve something higher, our inner knowing. And when nous finally wakes up inside you, the way you experience life changes quickly and powerfully. You don't just think differently, you see differently. Suddenly, the things people say aren't as important as the energy they give off. You start to sense the truth behind people's words. You notice how society and culture have shaped your beliefs, and those old beliefs begin to lose their hold. You realize you've been living under rules that were never truly yours. You even begin to see how you helped create the illusions around you, not because you were bad, but because you forgot who you really are. Nous doesn't judge you for this. It just shows you what's real. There's something solid and peaceful about this kind of knowing. It doesn't get angry or emotional. It doesn't need other people to agree with it. But when it speaks inside you, it's so clear and powerful that you can't ignore it. Mystics, those wise people who seem to know great truths, didn't become that way because they read more books. They remembered something we've all forgotten. They found a way to quiet the noise in their minds long enough to hear a deeper truth. And you don't have to be a monk or a guru to do this. You just have to create the right conditions: stillness, honesty, and humility. When you make space for nous, it rises on its own. It might come to you in meditation. It might show up during a hard time. It might even come in a quiet moment, like the space between two breaths. And when it arrives, you'll recognize it. It's unmistakable. You don't have to believe in nous for it to work. It just is. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You instantly see what was always there. One of the Hermetic teachings says that nous is the true way to understand spiritual wisdom. Without it, you can read spiritual texts and not really get them. With it, every word suddenly makes sense. Every symbol becomes alive with meaning. You stop looking for teachers outside yourself because you realize the greatest teacher is already within you. Modern life is noisy, fast, and full of distractions. That's why silence can feel so uncomfortable. But silence is exactly where news begins to wake up. And once it does, your life changes in ways you didn't expect. You stop needing to constantly consume content because you're no longer searching for something outside yourself. You stop trying to impress people. You stop chasing praise or recognition. Not because you've given up, but because you finally found something real. And that real thing is you, not the version of you shaped by society or expectations, but the deeper, truer self underneath it all. News doesn't yell, it whispers. But that whisper carries more weight than 1,000 loud voices. It helps you stay calm when everything around you is chaotic. It keeps you grounded when things feel uncertain. It gives you a quiet confidence that doesn't depend on anything or anyone. Most people think news is rare, like only special spiritual people have it. But the truth is, it's in everyone, including you. It may be buried or ignored, but it's always been there, quietly watching and waiting. And when you finally stop and listen, you begin to understand a powerful truth. The deepest kind of seeing doesn't come from your eyes. It comes from inside. We were taught that the universe is just a big machine, cold, empty, random. We were told we're just accidents, small and unimportant in a vast and meaningless world. But this belief cut us off from something vital. It made us feel separate and alone. Hermetic teachings say the opposite. They say the universe is not dead matter, but a living mind. Everything that exists is part of a great, intelligent consciousness. And you're not outside of it. You're inside it. You are a thought within that universal mind. This isn't just spiritual poetry, it's a deep truth. Ancient wisdom and modern science, especially quantum physics, are starting to agree on this. The Hermetics call this intelligence the All. It's not a God with a face or a name. It's not male or female. It's not a person. It's pure awareness, dreaming everything into being, including you. You are not here by chance. You are not a mistake. You are a part of that divine intelligence, learning and growing through the experience of forgetting who you really are. And when you start to remember, everything changes. If the universe is a mind, then everything, your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, is part of that mind. Your mind doesn't just receive reality, it shapes it. And when your mind is filled with fear or false beliefs, it shapes a false reality. But when you clear away the clutter, you begin to see things clearly, not just the world, but your place in it. The All is not distant or unreachable. It's right here, right now. It's in your breath. It's in your heartbeat. It's in the awareness reading these words. You're not separate from it. You're an expression of it. And the material world isn't something you need to escape from. It's spirit made visible. When you understand this, your sense of self begins to shift. You stop identifying with your job, your past, or your problems. You begin to feel like a being of awareness and creativity. You stop feeling like a victim of life. Instead, you realize you are co-creating your reality, not from fear, but from knowing. You also stop searching for gods outside of you, not because you think you're above it all, but because you understand. You see the divine in everything, in a stranger's eyes, in the wind, in silence. You realize the sacred is not separate from you. It is you. This truth doesn't require belief. It only requires awareness. And that awareness grows through stillness, through questioning old ideas, and through making room for what's real. When you stop and listen deeply, you remember something you always felt but didn't have words for. Life is not just a system or a machine. It's a living intelligence. And you are not just part of it. You are a unique expression of it. The universal mind is not something you need to reach out and find. It's something you already are. And when you realize this, the search ends. You stop looking for signs because you become the sign. You stop asking if you're on the right path. You simply walk it with presence and peace. Not because you know everything, but because you trust the intelligence that lives in everything, including yourself. But before you can fully become your true self, something has to fall away. Not your body or your soul, but the version of you created by fear, habits, and social pressure. That false self, the one that plays it safe, that needs approval, that hides from discomfort, can't come with you. The Hermetic path doesn't hide this truth. It tells you straight. Real transformation feels like a kind of death. Not a death of life, but a death of lies. It's not about ceremonies or rituals. It's about facing yourself honestly and asking, is this really who I am? Or just who I was told to be? That one question can shake your whole world. But that's exactly what it's meant to do. Because anything that's true can handle the fire. Only the false parts burn away. And when they do, what's left is the real you. The one you've always been, beneath all the layers. Many people feel lost, confused, or like their lives are falling apart, and they think something is wrong with them. But what if this isn't a problem? What if it's part of a deeper process? The ancient Hermetic thinkers believed that every soul comes into this world with a kind of forgetfulness. This isn't a punishment. It's part of the journey. We forget who we are so that remembering can become meaningful. Waking up to your true nature isn't something that happens quickly or without challenge. It takes time, and it often feels painful. But that pain is not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're waking up. When you begin to see life differently, the change can feel like chaos. You might lose interest in things that once excited you. The roles you've played, the stories you've believed, even the goals you've chased may start to feel empty. Relationships might shift or fall away. Career paths may no longer feel right. It feels like your life is falling apart, but in truth, something deeper is being revealed. You're not being punished. You're being reshaped. This process is often resisted by the ego. The ego is the part of you that wants control, safety, and identity. It's the voice that says, don't change. Stay in your comfort zone. You'll be safe here. That voice isn't evil, but it's not your highest truth either. It's just trying to protect you using old ways of thinking. But you can't become your true self if you're still holding on to who you were taught to be. Awakening requires letting go, not of people or things necessarily, but of your attachments. Attachments to your old self-image. Attachments to how life should be. Attachments to needing approval, certainty, and control. It feels like loss, but it's actually transformation. Think of gold in a fire. The fire doesn't destroy it, it burns away the impurities. What's left is more pure, more real, and more powerful. That's what's happening to you. The breakdown is actually a breakthrough. What remains after the fire is the part of you that was always real. Not perfect, but true. Hermetic teachings don't promise an easy path. They don't ask you to escape your life or live in a fantasy. Instead, they offer a way of seeing and living that is deeper, truer, and more in harmony with how reality actually works. These teachings aren't just ideas to read about. They are meant to be lived, practiced, and embodied in everyday life. You don't learn them the way you learn math or history. You become them through experience. There are 35 core Hermetic principles. Each one is like a guidepost for how to live with more awareness. But just reading them doesn't change you. Living them does. One teaches that everything is connected. Another shows you that every cause has an effect. Another tells you that opposites are really two sides of the same thing. These may sound like big ideas, but they show up in small, everyday moments, like how you react when someone annoys you, or how you respond to fear, or how you treat people when you're tired. These are the moments where your real practice happens. You don't need fancy rituals or special tools to live a spiritual life. You just need to pay attention. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to show up every day with the intention to be more aware, more kind, more real. That's the true power of this path. Not knowledge, but presence. Not performance, but truth. In a world where many people are chasing approval, status, and control, choosing to live from presence is a radical act. It's a quiet kind of rebellion. When you stop trying to control life and start flowing with it, things begin to shift. You may find that people treat you differently. Opportunities show up in unexpected ways. Life becomes more aligned, not because you forced it, but because you're finally in tune with it. This is what it means to live from a deeper place. To stop pretending. To stop chasing. To stop trying to become something and start remembering that you already are something sacred. The awakening process isn't about becoming better. It's about becoming more honest. And honesty can feel raw, even scary, because it strips away the layers we've used to protect ourselves. But it also makes us more real, more free. If you're going through a hard time right now, if things feel messy or uncertain, take a deep breath. You're not alone, and you're not failing. You're going through the very process that many wise teachers have talked about for thousands of years. This is the fire that reveals the gold. This is the shedding of the false self. It's not comfortable, but it's sacred. The truth is, most of us were taught to live on the surface. We were told to get good grades, follow the rules, get a good job, and be successful. But we weren't taught how to live with depth. We weren't shown how to face pain with grace, how to listen to our inner voice, or how to stand in our truth. The Hermetic path invites you to do just that. It invites you to stop performing and start aligning. When you walk this path, you realize that power isn't about control. It's about coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, you become a force of nature. You don't need to push so hard. You don't need to explain yourself. Your energy speaks louder than your words. You become a presence that shifts the space around you, not because you're trying to, but because you're living in truth. This kind of living doesn't come from memorizing spiritual quotes or using the right language. It comes from real inner work, from paying attention to your reactions, from listening more than speaking, from choosing integrity even when it's hard, from showing up fully even when no one is watching. There is no final destination. The Hermetic path doesn't end in some perfect moment where everything is figured out. It's a journey of remembering over and over again. Each day is a chance to return to who you really are. Not a flawless being, but a grounded, present, awake human. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be enlightened. It needs people who are willing to live honestly. People who are willing to keep showing up with love, even when it's messy, even when it's hard. And when you live this way, something shifts. You stop needing permission. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into roles or systems that were never made for you. You begin to trust your inner guidance. You speak differently. You walk differently, not out of arrogance, but from a deep, quiet confidence, a knowing that you are aligned with something real. The Hermetic teachings aren't here to give you power. They're here to help you remember that you've always had it. They clear away the noise. They peel back the layers. They help you find what's been there all along, a direct connection to life, to truth, to the divine within you. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about coming home to yourself. And that's why this journey matters. Because once you start to live from that place, you become the proof. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to argue. Your presence becomes the invitation. When you live in alignment, people feel it. They may not always understand it, but they'll notice. They'll see something in you that feels real, steady, and alive. The final teaching of this path isn't really an ending. It's a return. After all the growth, all the letting go, all the insight, you come back to the simplest truth of all. It was always you. You are the key. Not to something outside yourself, but to the universe already inside you. This remembering isn't about adding anything to you. It's about letting go of what was never truly yours to begin with. If you felt something moving you while reading this, if something in your heart nodded in quiet agreement, then this isn't the end for you either. It's the next step. A step into living, not just learning. Into being, not just believing. And if you want support on that journey, if you want community, guidance, and tools that actually help you grow, then you're invited. Insights Academy offers more than content. It offers a space to continue this path. You'll receive the Kabbalah as a gift to deepen your study. But more importantly, you'll have a chance to truly live these teachings. And if this message spoke to you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it." Because sometimes that's all it takes to begin.